Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and if you are brand new here, welcome. I'm Bonnie, Old Soul Mermaid, and today's video is again another look at my deck collection, and it's just a few decks this time, but these are decks published by Clarkson Potter. Now Clarkson Potter is part of the Penguin Random House publishing company. So let's start with the first one, and that is the Literary Witch's Oracle by, and I always butcher this name, Tasia Kitaskaya, and illustrated by Katie Horan. Okay, I can do that name. So this is a deck that came out, I believe, in 2020, earlier part or the tail end of 2019. And this deck is an oracle deck in two parts. Now, the Clarkson Potter decks are similar in design, that they have these wonderful textured boxes, and they are lift top. And the inserts here are, you know, the cards don't go sliding in, so it's very nice production. And these decks are so affordable. When I pre-ordered them, they're usually around, at least the tarot decks, they're around the $12, $13 range. So it's really, really great value for the money. And I just love the textured boxes. You get a little bit of a guidebook, nice and matte, and again, you get colored pictures in them. Now, I do have a full unboxing of this deck on my channel. It's one of my earlier videos, I think, so you might have to go and dig. If I remember, I'll put it in. But this deck it goes over some notable literary women in history, and you know, from different cultures, different eras of time. And this deck is divided into two parts. So you have your literary witch, these cards, so the author, and as you can see, this always threw me off because they say Emily Bronte, but this is more of a picture of Charlotte. Now there's not really any, there's one or two pictures of Charlotte, and then there's a picture of the three Bronte sisters together. This is Charlotte, it's not Emily. It always throws me for a loop. But Octavia Butler, most of these authors I am familiar with. Now, the cardstock with this deck is so wonderful. It is a linen finish. I know some people who've gotten this deck have chopped off the borders, and you can easily do that if you are brave enough to, but I don't do that. I'm not going to chop off borders. I don't trust myself with deck modifying, except for maybe if the borders are black, I will edge in a black. I've done very few of those. I just kind of leave it as is. Though this would be, if you are adventurous, it would be a good one to experiment on because it is inexpensive and easily obtainable through Amazon, your bookstore. I've seen this at the my local Barnes & Noble. I got mine from Amazon. It's still easily available. And as you can see, it has a wide array of authors. Shirley Jackson is a favorite. And so the second part of this deck are the witch's materials. So you shuffle this deck all together. I put it back in order just so you can see what you get, just in case you're not familiar with this deck, especially if you're new and new to oracles. And what you can see with the book, you get a very short synopsis for the writer, And then just some keywords for the meaning of the witch's material cards. So like apple is the senses, hunger, and sex. So it's more kind of like a Lenormand-esque feel to this part of the deck. But I think the illustrations are fantastic. You get the contrast of these richly illustrated cards with the simplicity of the Witch's Materials cards. So it is a very fun deck to work with. And I highly recommend if you want to have good fun with playing with this deck. And I've had some fun readings with it. And that is the Literary Witches Oracle. Now, I'm going to show you really quickly that this deck has a companion book, which I believe came out before the deck did. And this is the Literary Witches. I found my copy at my local Half Price Books, which is a used bookstore, but it was like in brand new condition. It looked like it hadn't been opened, but this is pretty inexpensive on Amazon as well. But it just gives you a little bit more going in, you know, with the authors than just the little bit in the deck book. You get a full page depiction of the card, but this did come out first, and then I think they went ahead and made it an oracle. And you see some of the illustrations. This is what is a Witch's Material card in the deck. So I would advise, because the book and the deck are so inexpensive, I would highly recommend getting the two together. So that is the Literary Witches Oracle and the book, A Celebration of Magical Women Writers. Another deck by Clarkson Potter, and I believe this came out a little bit after the Literary Witches, is a Jane Austen tarot deck. Now, this is not a standard 78 card deck. It's 53 cards for divination and gameplay, and the deck is by Jackie Oakley. Again, the beautiful, beautiful textured box with the clamshell opening. Nice pattern inside, the same size guidebook with colored illustrations. You get some spreads in here too. But this is only 53 cards because some of the cards will double for, you know, major and minor arcana. People have not bonded. I know a lot of people haven't bonded with this deck. I quite enjoy this deck, and I think it's because it's not overly, you can't tell what the archetype is with the deck. And these are the backs. And so, or you can't easily, in some of the cards, depict who the person is being depicted. And it's also a little bit on the pippish side. And the fact that it's, you know, it's not a full color, a full tarot deck, like, you know, you're expecting a tarot deck when it says a Jane Austen tarot. I think people easily write this deck off. And again, this is this beautiful linen finish. I enjoy this deck, and it tests my abilities a little bit. I'm not super adept at reading with playing cards, so a deck like this is kind of edging me towards that, to be able to have that skill, which is something I would just love to be. That would put me in the ultimate card slinger category if I could read with playing cards easily, you know, without having to pause. So I think if that is one of your goals, or something you would like to a skill you'd like to obtain, a deck like this would be a nice way to edge towards that. and as you could tell is Elizabeth and Jane, probably over at Netherfield. But it's a beautiful deck. I think the watercolor, and I think it's a wonderful deck. Darcy and Elizabeth, Wickham, I believe that's Wickham. There's some quotes. I think in Northanger Abbey. This is from. So, yeah, what is her name? Catherine Morland. Yes. So, yes, a lot of people were disappointed with this deck. I think it's beautiful. I'm glad I have it. Truth be told, it's not one that I immediately go for when I want to do a tarot reading. It's more one that I have used for play and just trying my hand at reading with, you know, illustrated playing cards. So that is the Jane Austen Tarot by Jackie Oakley. Okay, the next deck has been a bestseller on Amazon, a quick favorite of many people in the community, and it is the Tarot of the Divine. I have a full unboxing of this deck by Yoshi Yoshitani, and this deck is inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. Quickly became a favorite of mine. Again, you can see the book is very reminiscent of the other two, though you just get a very little bit about where the fairy tale or story or deity is from, what part of the world, of just a few sentences about it. A wonderful deck. Again, that textured linen. It's plain on the inside. Same kind of box. These are the beautiful backs. This has been heavily used since I got it, and I found it a little bit difficult before I got the companion book, Beneath the Moon. Once I got a better overview of the stories and the deities, I was able to read with it, and once, you know, I had that, this deck is one that I pull out just on the fly. It is probably, I haven't had it that long, you know, it hasn't been out that long, but for the time I've had it, it's probably been my best value. If you're going to take cost per cost of deck or use per cost of deck, this one, it's paid for itself many times over. I would think. I love this deck. I love the feel of this deck. I love having it in my hands. I love the colorful illustrations, the life. I love the educational value. These stories were not familiar, a lot of them, most of them were not familiar to me, who was raised on Grimm's and Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales and some Aesop's fables. I know some Mexican folklore because of my mother, a little bit of the Scandinavian, but a lot of these cards and stories I was not, and deities I was not familiar with. So it's been a great educational deck and just a joy to read with. And that is the Tarot of the Divine, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to zoom up and just give you a quick peek of the companion book. Inexpensive, if you can get it, because the deck and the book are relatively inexpensive. I think you can get both for about $30, which is still less, way less than the price of an indie deck. But I think it is, of course, you don't have to, but I think to get the full experience, I think this is beneficial, still, you get the sense when you read it that you're not getting the full story and a lot of the intricacies, but you get enough where it really does help with reading with the cards. Yeah, you know, The Little Mermaid, I have the book of The Little Mermaid, and it's a lot longer than what's given here. And it's made me want to investigate these stories further. A couple of them I have looked up on the interwebbings. But this deck for $14, $15, richly illustrated. You get more of the story. I didn't know about this one because my mother is from Mexico. And see, a story like this, The Monkey King and Sun Wukong, wasn't familiar with it. And a lot of the Hindu stories, I'm not, a lot of the stories from Africa, I'm not familiar with. So it's good education. It's not an exhaustive book. You know, you're not going to get everything in here and all the nuances, but you do get enough to help you read with the deck. Do you need the book to read with the deck? No, but I think it's helpful. Next on the list is the Illuminated Tarot by Caitlin Keegan. Now, this deck is very much in the same vein as the Jane Austen Tarot. It is, even though it says tarot, it's actually like a playing card set. It's 53 cards for divination and gameplay. So it has a beautiful textured box. It's even more heavily textured than the others. And you lift it up, nice pattern inside, nice ribbon. Again, a nice book that's in the same style as the others, but you just basically get keywords for the cards. And there it is. Oh, that's an insert. Here are the gorgeous backs. Actually reminds me of the color palette of the Literary Witches. Here is the Fool. Again, this gorgeous linen cardstock. Let me get a little bit further down. And as you can see, you're not going to get, I mean, the minors double as some of the majors, and you know, some people may not like that, but you know, if you want to become somebody adept at reading with playing cards, I think it is a great way to start. What better way to start? So like, for instance, this is the 5 of clubs, and it substitutes, you know, also it doubles as the devil. And then the 6 of clubs doubles as the tower. So you get the feeling. These are so richly illustrated. I love looking at them. This is also the 9 of clubs doubles as the sun. And you get the, you know, the meaning, the feeling for the 10 of wands or clubs. So, and there you have your queen, your king. I just love the illustrations. I love the colors. It's kind of psychedelic and groovy. And this one, the Ace of Diamonds, also substitutes as the world. And this 2 of Diamonds substitutes as the High Priestess. So you get the gist. Wonderful, wonderful deck. Inexpensive. It's more of a playing deck for me than an actual reading deck. And, you know, because I don't spend a lot of time trying to read with playing cards, but when I do, these two decks, this and the Jane Austen Tarot, are the ones I bring out. So, going along the same vein, the last deck in this video for my Clarkson Potter collection decks is the Illuminated Playing Cards by Caitlin Keegan. Does the art look kind of familiar? Yes, it's the same creator. So where the other deck was supposed to be a deck to double up for playing cards and tarot cards, this one is strictly, well, it's in playing card size. It does say 2 decks for games and tarot, and it includes an instruction book. It has that wonderful, again, 2-piece box, but you have 2 decks in here. A dark and a light. I love the backs on these. Linen playing card stock. Just beautiful. Now, both decks are exactly the same, as you can see. This one doesn't differ. The main difference is the background. One has a light background and the other has a dark. And the illustrations are pretty much the same as the Illuminated Tarot, with some differences in it, but they are very, very similar, as you can see. The artwork style, I'm sorry, that's my dog Simon, he's in here with me, is the same as the Illuminated Tarot. And I'm just going to bring a card out here so you see these two. And there it is. This is in full color, and this is in minimal color. One dark, one light. Do you need both decks? No, you most certainly do not. But if you want to play some games, like the booklet is fun because it has card games in it. So Go Fish, Crazy Eights, Go Fish, Spit, Spoons, and then it gives you instructions for a 3-card tarot reading. And then on the back you get, just some keywords for meanings of the cards if you're going to use it for tarot. So I think it's a pretty ingenious little set. You could take it on vacation with you, really. You could take this deck on vacation with you to have for card play. Maybe you use the dark deck for card play, and then you use the light one for tarot readings. Or you use this one for shadow readings and this one for everything else. I think it's an ingenious little set. And yeah, if you were adept with reading cards or playing cards, this would be basically all you needed to take on vacation for entertainment. Entertain with your tarot readings, or play a game at the table or on the beach. So that is the Illuminated Playing Card Set by Caitlin Keegan. So I hope you enjoyed this look at my collection, my decks by Clarkson Potter. So that's a part of Penguin Random House. And yeah, I enjoy all these decks. Let me know what you think, especially about the playing cards. Do you have them? Do you use them? How do you use them? And also, if you have the Jane Austen Tarot, what did you think? Were you sorely disappointed with the deck? Do you use it? And also the literary witches. I think some people have found it difficult to find how to use this deck. I think the most popular would be the Tarot of the Divine. The other ones, let me know if you have them and how you use them. I would love to hear from you. So that is it. And until next time, bye for now.